Typically, around the world, most people retire between the ages of 55 to 70. In Nigeria today, we have the retirement age set between 65 and 70. This also depends on, the industry you work, the gender, and several other factors. Why are we talking about such a topic? It's because retirement age brings about bills that, if we do not plan for when we've gone past the working age, could become serious liabilities on us. I'll be talking about several things we can do that can help us plan towards retirement. Now, 3 or 4 things that we could list today that could help us plan towards retirement. One is investing in real estate. Investing in real estate over time could help you build a sustainable investment portfolio, because what that does for you is that when you retire, you could have income coming from the real estate assets that you've been able to acquire over time. Secondly, you could also invest in stocks, shares. Some years ago, my father invested in stock in the 80s, and I remember that when we were back in school and he encountered a few issues after retirement, some of those stock were called in, and he sold them and was able to afford to pay our school fees even when he had retired from working. Thirdly, you could also look at investing in private equity in companies. There are private companies that sell shares. You could buy into them and, give or take. In some years, some of these companies will do well, and some of these shares could be sold 3, 5, 10 times the value of what you bought it 3 years ago. Another thing you could also look at investing in are things like cryptocurrency, FX trading, all depending on your risk appetite. There are also debt notes you can look at in the market. A debt note is something similar to a fixed deposit with a typical bank, a commercial bank that people do. So it's you giving a financial institution or a private company funds placed at certain interest rates. For example, you could give them 1 million naira and say, they're going to pay you 20% per annum based on the 1 million you've given to them. So that's a guaranteed 200,000 naira interest being paid on your 1 million. If you're someone that is planning to have a fixed income and you do not want to tamper with the money with you, you could invest in a debt note and get a guaranteed fixed interest rate paid to you on an annual basis. Some of these companies even go as far as paying the interest on a monthly basis. Now, let me tell you a story about a retiree that I met. He had a property that he had bought way back in the 80s, and the property was paying him rent of about 400,000 naira. After some years, he felt the 400,000 naira was not enough to supplement his pension because he only got this rent once in a year. And he spoke to me, and I said to him, if you could invest 10 million of this in a debt note, you could actually get a higher interest rate, which could afford to pay you somewhere in the region of about 2 million naira every year. And he said to me, that made a lot of sense. And what he was going to do was he was going to sell the property and invest in the debt notes. Eventually, he was able to sell the property for about 12 million. He invested 10 million naira in the debt notes and was able to get an annual returns of about 20% per annum, which did better than his property that was giving him 400,000 naira every year as annual income. Over time, he also liquidated some other properties and invested in more debt notes. What became priority to him in his retirement age was income coming in easily. So he was no longer battling tenants to pay rent, but had debt notes that were paying him in the region of about 20% per annum, and those interest he was getting on a monthly basis combined with his pension was able to keep him and get him stability in the current economy that we're in. Another thing you can look at too is agriculture, investing in agriculture, maybe owning a farm or starting a poultry or something. I've seen a lot of people retire and go into owning farms, rice farms, maize farms, owning poultries. And even though they made some mistakes, they were able to weather the storm. And these businesses have been able to keep them alive. Are you planning for retirement very soon? I think you should start looking at these various classes of investments.